Hi everyone, this is Napoleon Joseph, Assistant Professor of English, St. Joseph's College of Arts and Science, Kadalur. This video will help you to have an idea regarding the poem named Loneliness, which was written by Sjctnc, and this slide will help you to go through the poem. Sjctnc was a Pakistani poet who lived between 1911 and 1984. He was a Pakistani poet and he was a social activist and also a political leader, and he had won the Lenin Prize Peace Award by the Soviet Union in 1962, and he is much involved in his religious activity, and his poems have been enacted in the impact of religion, and he is also influenced by the Sufi traditions. We have come across the word or theory named Sufism, which means a kind of mysticism that emphasizes introspection and spiritual closeness with God. And with this, I conclude the introduction to the author, and the link in this slide will help you to go through more about Sjctnc. He had written all his poems in Urdu language, and his poems were translated by other English-speaking writers. And this poem, Loneliness, had the real title named Tanhai, Tanhai, and it also a translated one. Every poem has a background for its own work. Likewise, this poem would have get some kind of war background, any fear, or a kind of separation from others, or a kind of alienation by oneself from others would be so. Generally, we'll be having a kind of feel while we are alone in our home. At night, if the door had been knocked, which means we will feel that who had knocked the door at this time, like that we could say to ourselves. And another feeling also will come to our heart, that a feel of fearness. These two things enact the poem, and it takes the narrator to the reader's mind. And here we come across a character that is nothing but a narrator. He had heard a sound, that is, someone had knocked the door, and the listener, that is the one who is in the house, is hearing, and he is thinking, who would have knocked the door? And the sound had already stopped. Definitely he had passed away. That is, he would have gone away from the door. And we will say to ourselves that who will come at this time? Definitely no one will be roaming around the city, or no one will roam around the streets at this cost, and for any reason no one will come and go by this time. So no one will be knocking the door. Let I sleep, or let I watch something, or let I read anything else. Like that we will think, and we will go away. Like that the reader also here, and the narrator also expressed his view to the readers, that is, no one had come here, and let me think about what else I can do. Though his mind has convinced him to go to another part of his night, his heart says, who would have knocked the door? So an unconscious mind is making the reader or the narrator to think about the same thing which had been done in the past. So he was thinking, and he is consoling himself. No one would have come here. The night is passing, and the star dust is settling in the streets. Star dust, which means the dust in the night time will be settling, and the dust would have get some kind of shining through the star while we look at the sky. And the flames in the distant palace, that is, he would have looked from the window. The distant candles in the palace have going to finish off, because it gives a dim light, and the spark seems to be much fade, and the candles also is going to sleep now. And at this time no one would have come here. Like this he is consoling himself, and he had given a line as like this: every pathway has passed into sleep, which means the streets have gone into sleep. No one is being walking in the streets, so no one have come across my home. It is my assumption that someone had knocked the door. So he is consoling like this, that there is no one had knocked the door. And even he goes to some extent that in the daytime the people have walked around the city and even in the streets. So all these footsteps is being smudged by the alien dust, which means the dust who has revolved around the world or his own city or from any other place. That is the alien dust, which means the dust which come away from any other place. Those dusts have been settling now in the streets, and these dust have been fading the footsteps of the people who have walked all the daytime. So no one had knocked my door, so it will be good if I go to bed now. And at last he says to himself that no one will come here, so let me go to sleep. And these things he had narrated all these things. It's only because of that he is alone in his home or alone in his room, so that he is thinking like this: when we are alone, our mind will never stop thinking, especially it will think only in the negative way. We will be having many kind of thinking all over the day. All this thinking will get emerge, and it will be much violent when we are silent, so that when we become normal, it will automatically fade away from our thinking. So that we should never think anything in a negative way. It will enhance ourselves to be in a good position, and it also make our mind to be in a stronger than any other. And at last he comes to the conclusion that just blow out the candles, let the light wide away from here, let the wine flow away from the brim of the cup, and it may lock the door of my sleeplessness, and no one will come here ever. Which means if he had gone to sleep, he won't think about any other thing. If we have gone into our sleep, we could not see what is happening around us, and at some time we could hear the voice of other people, which means our mind had waken up. So it says you should wake up now and you should do your work. So here the narrator lost his sleeplessness, and he has been roaming around his room or his house, and he was thinking abnormally, and he had such kind of assumption that someone had knocked the door. And at last he was looking at the window, and he was looking at the palace nearby, and he was thinking that the alien dust have been settling about the footsteps of other people. And at last he comes to conclusion that no one is here, it just my assumption, and if I drink the wine and go to my sleep, then nothing will come to my mind. So like this he had finished the poem, and this is the summary of the poem. And I hope you have got an idea regarding the poem called Loneliness. Thank you everyone.